This is Joynews Prime with me, Samuel Kojo Brace. In our headlines, the Joint Committee on Energy and Lands and Forestry come under fire from some MPs over its report that recommended there should be no review of the mining lease granted to Electrochem to mine salt in Adan Songo.
Of seeking to exploit the salt resources, Electrochem or agents of Electrochem were involved, either directly or indirectly, in human rights abuses.
Also coming out, the first of several tax waivers currently before Parliament approved days after Kweku Kwateng, accused of blocking the tax waivers, was removed as chairman of the Finance Committee.
It's in the right direction. The committee therefore recommends to the House for the adoption of its report and approve the request as earlier stated.
Let's start off from Parliament because the House has approved the first of dozens of tax waivers before the House, which were hitherto being blocked by other Finance Committee. MP for Boise West, Kweku Kwateng, who used to chair the Finance Committee, was accused of siding with the minority side in blocking tax waivers worth nearly $400 million. But barely a week after he was officially removed from the role, the first of several such tax waivers are now coming to the floor for approval. This tax waiver approved is to the tune of 1.5 million euros for the supply of an installation of e-learning laboratories in senior high schools across the country. Listen to new chair of the Finance Committee, Patrick Boama, on why this tax waiver is necessary.
Of the benefits of the educational sector, how the educational sector stands to gain, as well as the immense socio-economic benefits to be derived, the committee is satisfied that the request is in the right direction. The committee therefore recommends to the House for the adoption of its report and approve the request as earlier stated for the sum of €1,517,040 for the supply and installation of integrated e-learning laboratories in senior high schools, the Televic Phase 2. Respectfully submitted, Mr. Speaker.
However, the minority surprisingly did not oppose the approval. According to Minority Leader Dr. Casey Latoforson, this tax waiver is not controversial, hence their support.
I just want to use this opportunity to commend the Minister for ensuring that the project covers nationwide and not few schools in certain parts of the country benefiting from that. Speaker, with these few words, I can only support that this tax waiver be made. Mr. Speaker, oftentimes impressions are created that we are against tax waivers. Yes, we are against the principles of waiving taxes. But certain taxes are important that we waive. But Mr. Speaker, these are schools that the country is buying ICT equipment such as ICT laptops and desktop computers to assist in the learning. So you can only waive those taxes. But certain taxes that we have issues with, and when we raise them, it's not that we are against it. But as for this, Mr. Speaker, there's no way we can vote against such a tax. Mr. Speaker, this is something that is good for the country and is going to support the education sector. I believe we should also support. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now, joining us for a conversation on this is Professor Williams Kwesi Pepra, an Associate Professor of Finance at the Andrews University. Prof, grateful for joining us. Now, this waiver, we understand, is for the supply and installation of e-learning laboratories in senior high schools across the country. Your thought on this?
Kojo, thank you very much for calling me, and thank you. Good evening to your viewers. So, if you look at this particular tax waiver, it is specific for a purpose towards an educational development, specifically providing IT infrastructure and equipment for selected secondary schools across the country. So such tax waivers are encouraged, and because it is going to reduce the cost of the entire project, and the benefits outweighs the tax waiver is granted. In fact, if you look at it very carefully, providing educational support or equipment, you are not going to generate cash flow from it, but it's for human development or human capital.
Okay.
And the benefits will be felt not now, but in the long run. And this will position our students in Ghana to be able to find a way to use the ICT infrastructures and understand how it is used. So, to me, this type of tax waiver is very important, and it will help our educational sector to develop.
How must Parliament then approach the remainder of the waivers yet to be approved?
So the most contentious one is the tax waiver for the 42 companies under the 1D1F program. Government, if you look at the list, is about $335 million US. And there are some which adds up to make it like $400 million US. If you ask me, Ghana is currently under an IMF program, and providing tax waivers for such companies, in a way, it is good. It will help to reduce their cost and then also create employment. But the other side of it thing is that once Ghana is going to waive this amount of money, we may have to find a way to support the budget deficit that Ghana government is going to face. If you ask me, Parliament must not do a block tax waiver for all the 42 companies.
Okay.
They must scrutinize each of the companies, understand their benefits to citizens of Ghana. Is it going to cause a reduction in the cost of items, especially if I don't want to mention some companies. Most of the companies are already existing and they are operating. The question is, if they don't get the tax waiver now, will it cause the businesses to collapse? If government grants the tax waiver to them, will they be willing to reduce their selling prices so that Ghanaians will benefit from it? So that kind of balance must be assessed. And that is why I'm expecting Parliament not just to look at the entire 42 companies and just give a block vote. They must analyze each company. The top on the list is Sentu, which is about $160 million US in terms of tax waiver. We should understand, if this tax waiver is granted and they start production, is it going to bring the price of fuel down?
Okay.
If it's not going to bring the price of fuel down, then we may have to think about it again. So these are some of the analysis that must. The ultimate aim is that we give the tax waiver to help to reduce the cost of production, and the trickle-down effect is that prices must come down and must also create employment.
Okay.
So that is what I believe that the parliamentarians should be looking at to be able to address the issue of the tax waivers.
Grateful to you, Prof, for joining us here now. Still in Parliament, a joint committee of Parliament has come under fire over its report on the salt mining lease granted Electrochem in Adan. The Energy and Lands Committee recommended to the House that there should be no review of the mining lease granted a company following allegations of police and military brutalities against the indigents, leading to the death of a miner and injuries to many. The people of Adan have also complained about the lease awarded to the company, which puts out many of the indigents out of their small-scale mining of salt in the area. First, listen to Chairman of the Energy Committee, Samuel Atachia, present the Energy Committee's report.
Honourable Speaker, the committee did not see any need at all to review and or tinker with the 3 mining leases ratified by this august House on the 6th day of November 2020. There was nothing at all to show. There was no illegality that the Parliament previously committed in the ratification. It is imperative that the National Commission for Civic Education, NCCE, should embark upon a massive educational campaign in the salt mining area to bring the indigenous to the realization that salt is a natural mineral and not a means of livelihood, in the same category of gold in the Ashanti region, petroleum in the western region, and bauxite in the eastern region.
But MP for the area, Christian Kolete Otute, who first spoke against the committee's report, decried what he described as a monopoly granted to Electrochem to mine salt in the area, pushing the indigents out of business.
The major concern of the people is not about the Electrochem company not taking part or having to do his work there. But it has to do, the question is 41,000 acres of land to one company. The people are wondering, how is it going to work on all this land? Why can't we sublet it, let different companies come in so that we can have competition? There is going to be a monopoly, and with that, we cannot really achieve the best, the maximum. And so far, as a member of parliament and with the brutalities concerning the police and even the electrical company, when I go around, you can see that they are only concentrating on the already existed project area, which is called Songo Salt. So the people are not against the Electrochem's presence there. Myself, I'm for the Electrochem. But the manner in which things are going is fact a bit of concern. And if we could address those issues, we can have Electrochem working there peacefully, for which the government will benefit, my people will also benefit, and myself, I will also benefit.
Let's take it to Parliament now and do more on this particular development. Our man in Parliament, Kweku Asante, joins us via Zoom here. Kweku, the next person to speak against the report was MP for Ododo Neelante Vanderpoy. What exactly was his case?
Well, according to Neelante Vanderpoy, he did not believe that the committee did a good job. In fact, referenced what he believes to be brutalities meted out against the indigenes of Adan Sege in the Songo Basin. And he really did not believe that Parliament should approve that report. And he wanted some action on the police brutalities, allegedly meted out against the people. Listen.
I'm so passionate about this because not only have we lost family members, some of our people are mutilated, disabled, and now cannot do anything. And what is even depressing me more, for such things, such criminal acts to be described as minor criminal acts. When people have been killed, people have been maimed, police and soldiers rounding up people, beating them up, at the instigation of a so-called investor, you can't describe it as minor criminal offenses. Today, somebody has just taken over everything, denying the indigenous people the little that they can also harvest, mine for their survival. And when they resist, soldiers and policemen are hired to chase them, beat them up, and even kill them. We cannot, if everybody in this house will accept this report, Mr. Speaker, I want to register my opposition to this report. And I want it reflected in the hazard that one time was somebody, a member of this house, called Neelante Vanderpoy, was against this report. I totally disagree with this report.
Well, Kweku, there is even a suggestion that the lease granted to Electrochem must be put on hold until the allegations on human rights abuses are fully investigated.
Well, that is the view shared by a Deputy Attorney General, former Dr. Dominica Yene, who really believed that at the heart of this dispute is the matters regarding alleged abuses meted out to these people in this area. He believes it must be thoroughly investigated. This committee report must be shelved until the Parliament of Ghana, the people of Ghana, goes to the bottom of that allegation, and then punitive measures be taken against Electrochem for those abuses.
Mr. Speaker, what I want to underscore is that though the report of the committee has not detailed the human rights abuses that have occurred in relation to the Songo Lagoon salt exploitation by Electrochem, Mr. Speaker, various honorable members, I remember the honorable member for Ododo, the Honorable Neelante Vanderpoy. I also remember the
the Honorable Otute, mentioned the fact that in the course of seeking to exploit the salt resources, electrochem or agents of electrochem were involved either directly or indirectly in human rights abuses. This is the House of Parliament. We are enjoined by the Constitution in Chapter 5 to uphold the fundamental human rights enshrined in the Constitution. I do not think that Parliament should approve any transaction in respect of which there is evidence of human rights abuses having occurred or having been occasioned by either the state or any entity affiliated to the state, or an entity that is wholly private, but that is being aided by the state in order to commit human rights abuses. Mr. Speaker, I think that we should call for an investigation of the human rights abuses that have occurred, and then if we find that there were actual excesses committed by the state agents for and on behalf of Electrochem, they should be held accountable. They should pay compensation to the local communities before they should be allowed to continue the exploitation of the natural resource which is found within the community that is the subject matter of our report. So, Mr. Speaker, I don't think that as a House we should be entertaining this report.
Well, Kweku, from what we've seen so far, it looks like no one spoke in favor of this report.
Well, it was the Deputy Finance Minister, Dr. Stephen Amwa, who gave a certain indication that the people in Songo ought to know that salt, being a mineral, is held in trust for the people of Ghana by the president, and they must be wary of that. They, however, still caveated that with the point that the government must ensure that a certain portion of the land leased out to Mr. Daniel Macaulay's Electrochem is given out to the people, the ordinary people, to be able to do their own mining.
Mr. Speaker, as much as I agree with some of my colleagues from the other side of the political divide, that of course, in terms of having empathy for the indigenous brothers we all cherish and love most from the Ada area, we need to, as a House, help develop paradigm shifts that will ensure their inclusion in building the economic capacity of the community and the country. If we don't take care, what will happen is that Western region, they will begin to say that the oil there belongs to them, and for that matter, any decision, whether of national, international, or community interest, will not be taken care of. Mr. Speaker, if we are not careful, those from Ashanti region and Brahaf will follow suit. If we don't take care, those from Upper East will follow suit. And what will we be doing to the loss of this land in championing a cause that will bring us together and build the needed cohesion, and out of collectivism build our own country for the very good purpose of our brothers, including those from Ada. So as much as we are all trying to find a common point of convergence in dealing with this issue, I would like to suggest that probably what we can do is that any company, be large or small, that is giving the legal mandate to manage some of these state natural resources should find a way to include the community people along the value chain in terms of job creation so that they can also derive economic gains.
So how did the House decide on this matter?
Well, it was clear that the committee report would have been headed for a defeat if it was put to a question and a vote in the House. So leadership on both sides came to an agreement that it declared that the committee had not finished this work. There were still outstanding questions that must be resolved. The Speaker of Parliament did agree with that and said that the committee should go back and try and see if they can reach some agreement. The Speaker says he expects that on Monday, he can put the question on this report, and then MPs will decide whether or not they are adopting the report or not. But clearly, the Speaker says this dispute must be resolved, and clearly MPs have made their voice known that Electrochem is engaging in certain practices that they believe must really be reined in place.
All right, grateful to you. That's Kwekwa there with that from the Parliament. Now, the Health Ministry has confirmed details of a $34 million ambulance spare parts contract between government and Service Ghana Auto Group Limited. The ministry clarified that the contract, originally signed by the now defunct Ministry of Special Development Initiatives, covered after-sales service for 307 ambulances. Member of Parliament for North Town Samuel Okojoto Ablakwa, who has petitioned the special prosecutor over the deal, noted that the former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, days before his removal from office, approved payment of $10 million to Service Ghana Auto Limited. He also questioned the legitimacy of the company incorporated a year after the ambulances were commissioned and its capacity to service them. Meanwhile, the Health Ministry's PR department has released a statement on the matter, and my colleague James Aveji joins via Zoom with details of that particular statement. James, what clarification does the ministry give to the country?
Brett, so the ministry starts by establishing the fact that this deal was actually started by the then Ministry of Special Development Initiative that got defunct and took over by the ministry's secretariat. Now, it is that secretariat that wrote a letter to the Finance Ministry requesting for this deal of $34 million. Now, when that letter was written, the ministry actually confirmed that it can only give some $10 million and so defer the rest to the National Health Insurance Scheme. And so the clarification has now come that this deal wasn't primarily done by the Health Ministry, rather the Ministry of Special Development Initiative. Now, what they are saying is that they are confirming that the $10 million have been paid, but the National Health Insurance Ministry actually communicated that they cannot pay the rest 20.9 million Ghana cedis. And so only 10 million has been paid. The rest 20.9 is not being paid and will not be paid according to the Ministry of Health in that communique, Brace.
All right. Now, there's also a response from the OSP to Okejeto's petition to look into the case. What does that say?
So the OSP is basically saying that they needed to look at the law, get some time to look at the law to establish whether they have a jurisdiction to look into the case. Remember, when Okejeta Ablakwa sent the issue to them, he pleaded that they do it on a matter of urgency so that the 20.9, which is on the verge to be paid, is prevented from being paid. But the OSP is telling us today that they needed to first establish their jurisdiction before they get into the matter. As to how long that will take for a decision to be made, whether they will look into it or not, we do not know yet. And so that is the next chapter of the issue we are looking out for to see how that goes. Grace.
We'll keep our eyes on this particular developing story. But away from that, a 37-year-old confessed scammer who has been on remand at the Nsawo Medium Security Prison for murder since December 2019 has been discharged as part of the Justice for All program. Christopher Kester was among 12 pre-trial inmates at a penitentiary who had been left to languish there for years without being committed to trial. Legal Affairs correspondent Latif Idris sat through the ad hoc court that gave him clemency. Latif also spoke with the now free man shortly after he was discharged. More in the following report.
Christopher Kester is not the only foreign national or Nigerian doing time at the Nsawo Medium Security Prison. There are a number of his compatriots and other foreigners locked up in the penitentiary. However, Kester's motive for relocating to Ghana, which eventually landed him in prison, may differ from the intentions of other inmates. As an online scammer, Kester confessed to the High Court judge in the ad hoc court inside the Nsawo Medium Security Prison, Justice Lydia Osei-Mafo, that he relocated to Ghana to perpetrate internet scam, which he succeeded at doing. Sharing of the loot was, however, the beginning of his woes.
I have a problem with my share market, which we used to share money 60-40. So I am the one who, the lady who paid the money is my client. So he's supposed to give me 40 and take 60. So he refused. He said he's not going to give me 40, he's going to give me 30. So we have an issue fighting. So I took my property, took my laptop, then I left to the hotel where the accident happened.
Nonetheless, it was his lucky day, and so he was discharged by the High Court judge. When I caught up with him as he prepared to leave the four walls of the prison for the first time since 2019, he was all remorseful about contracting the services of a sex worker who died deep in the night after satisfying him sexually.
At night, around something 12 o'clock midnight, I went to Choice, London bar, to pick a prostitute there. So the next morning, I tried to wake her up. No way, she didn't wake up. I discovered that the white foam is coming out on her mouth. So I rushed down to the hotel attendant to talk to the hotel. So the hotel attendant helped me to took the girl to the bedroom to on a shower on her. So from there, the hotel attendant called the madam of the owner of the hotel. So then the owner of the hotel came now, called the police to.
Christopher Kester says the prison experience has been transformational. He tells me he has no plans of returning to his home country, Nigeria, anytime soon, as he intends to stay in Ghana a little longer. Latif Idris, Joynews, Nsawam Medium Security Prison.
This is the Joynews Prime. We'll take a quick break here. We'll be back with more. Please do stay. As part of efforts aimed at increasing awareness of breast cancer and the need to undertake regular checks, which is critical to reducing mortalities amongst women, a 2023 Joynews Impact Makers awardee Ellen White Opoku has held a free breast cancer screening exercise for female members of the Ghana Police Service in the Techiman municipality of the Bono East region. The move, according to Ellen White, is to provide a platform for the police whose busy schedules prevent them from attending to their health care needs are attended to. Anas Sabet was there and has come through with this report.
The 2023 Joynews Impact Makers awardee, who doubles as the founder of the Ellen White Sustainable Foundation with support from the Awareness Therapy Foundation, held a breast cancer sensitization and screening exercise for female police officers across the Techiman municipality.
You know, the police is very important, and they are doing so well in Techiman, especially our ladies in Techiman. Looking at the nature of their work, it's sometimes difficult going to the hospital. And you know, these days, breast cancer is killing a lot of people. Even though we are not in October, where we talk about breast cancer awareness and other things, I thought it's necessary to come here, screen them, want to appreciate them for the work they do, and also to make sure they are all healthy. Even if they are not healthy, it will be very difficult for them to protect us.
Evelyn Yeboah is the founder of Awareness Therapy Foundation, a health NGO who are into reproductive health issues. She says with breast cancers established to be the leading cause of death for women across the country, more needs to be done to help curb the situation.
Usually when it comes to breast, vagina, cervix, they are very sensitive areas that women do not usually want to talk about. So when they even get such conditions, it is difficult for them to open up and talk about it. Now, when you look at the statistics in Ghana, let me use the 2022 statistics. Breast cancer is the leading cause of death among women, followed by cervical cancer and then other liver diseases. Mrs. Ellen White Opoku further appealed to the general public for support as she seeks to extend the exercise to other security actors across the area.
This is not going to end today. We are going to continue, and I'm praying that I'll be able to reach out to the other security personnel in the Techiman municipality and even in Bono East region. And so we will need support, definitely, whether in kind or in cash, because it all comes with cost. So it's prudent we do this from time to time to make sure they are healthy.
Anas Sabit, Joynews. Techiman.
Now, on Thursday night, a devastating fire raged a three-story accommodation facility known as Hostel at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. The cause of the fire has yet to be established, but it has severely damaged at least 9 rooms, leaving the victims overwhelmed and students in adjacent buildings frightened. Some victims of the fire outbreak are final year students who have lost their project works. Here is a report by Clinton Yeboah.
Has gutted almost every burnable material here at the father's hostel in Kote, which is a few distance away from the KNUST campus. Just as you can see, all these materials belonging to students have been destroyed. There is a fridge here burnt to rubbles. A rice cooker here. You cannot even identify some of these things because some of them have been burnt into ashes. Victims recounted that the fire started in a single room before it quickly spread throughout the building, consuming their valuable items within minutes. One other unfortunate situation is that final year students were victims of this fire outbreak. And currently, such students have lost all their belongings, their phones, their laptops, and hard copies of their project works. I can confidently say that the only items that these students may have been able to pick during the fire were the clothes that they were wearing before that night. It was a moment of sadness, but we were able to engage some of the victims who have lost their room, not just their room, but also their valuable items.
Yesterday we were in the room, you see, that room. So the opposite side of the room, we were just inside and we heard some noises going on. So we thought maybe just a fighting or something. But later on we just experienced some smoke and other things just entering the windows. So we quickly decided to open the door. When we opened the door, we saw smoke all over the place, and so the fire was just, you know, so.
And yet, like I'm not doing at that moment. Actually, who say I explode the gas bill has exploded like a jet through a film gig.
A gas exploded, intensifying the impact. When we called the fire service, by the time they got here, the fire had already extended to the other places.
And to mobile moment like connected pipes in the course run. Yes,
I have been speaking with the owner of the facility. He says he's only grateful that no casualty was recorded from this incident.
They could not pick anything, but we are grateful that in all of it, no one got hurt.
From Kumasi, my name is Clinton Yeboah reporting.
Election Headquarters is brought to you by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity, and the Chartered Institute of Management Accountant, the American Institute of Certified Public Accountant, together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountant, also by the Chopbox Technologies, a convenience service, and Youth Bridge Foundation, bridging the gap for positive youth development. Vice President and flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, has disclosed that he will be setting up a mineral development bank in order to support the work of small-scale miners in the country. He said there is so much in the country which is yet to be explored, and the setting up of a minerals development bank, which will be similar to the agricultural development bank, will empower persons working in the mining sector to improve their mining businesses. Joynews' Upper West regional correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Jirapa.
Speaking at the final day of his 4-day campaign tour of the Upper West region at Jiraba, Vice President and 2024 flag bearer of the MPP, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, rolled out policies that he intends to implement should he be given the nod to lead the country. First was agriculture, where over 68% of the people are into, which he believes, if implemented, will have tremendous impact on the lives of the people.
When I am president, I am going to focus on agriculture to make sure our farmers are able to increase their productivity. We'll give them better technology, give them tractors to work with, and give them money to be able to do the farming that they are doing.
Next was small-scale mining.
Ghana has a lot of gold resources, 5 billion ounces of gold resources that have not yet been explored. I want us to promote small-scale mining so that the geological survey can designate where the gold can be found. And we will give our miners the concessions. We'll give them the licenses so that they can do small-scale mining.
The issue of energy also found space in the speech of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, which he wishes to address using solar power in order to reduce the cost of electricity in the country.
The cost of electricity is high because we are importing oil and gas to produce electricity, but the technology now exists. Ghana to move away from oil and gas to solar power. Solar power. That is the power God has given us for free.
MPP Parliamentary candidate for Jiruba, Aisha Salafou Dagati, urged the people to vote for her to help bring development to the area.
You have tested me locally, yet to go to Parliament to represent you, and you know what I have done so far on the grounds. And I am telling you today, you sent me there without my brother, the flag bearer. Yes, we would get there, but I will not be able to do as much as I want to, because we are not only looking at Jirapa.
Reporting for Joynews, Rafik Salam, Jiruba.